Well, Kaleb and Autumn, it is a joy to be talking to you guys. For those who are listening who don't know you guys yet, obviously they're going to love you soon. But you both just launched. You're married, and
Yes.
how many years?
We've been married. We just celebrated 10 years.
Just
of marriage.
celebrated
Wow.
on the 7th,
Which is
July
crazy.
7th, 10
Wow,
years.
that is amazing.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so 10 years of marriage and a 10 weeks or maybe a little more than that of launching a campus. So we launched our most recent campus, the Maple Grove campus, which is a community northwest of Minneapolis area. And I'm excited to talk to you. I wanted to hear from both of you about what launching a campus was like with River Valley.
Right.
You've been working at the church in other roles. And Kaleb and Autumn, you don't work at the church, but you're a huge part of this, and excited to hear your perspective as well. But talk a little bit about when you found out. I just want to jump in. When you found out about being asked to be a campus pastor, move your family from a different city, which you had already moved from North Dakota to come here to be on staff, and then you were asked to start a campus. And then I want to get into what we did, how we launched a campus, what marketing strategy, finding a venue, which of course was super easy, right?
Yeah. Super easy.
And we'll get into all that, the practical things, but talk a little bit about just kind of your mindset shift from going from associate campus pastor to, okay, now we're launching something brand new.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say thanks for having us on the podcast, and excited to share some of our story and our journey. And for us, we've always viewed our roles in ministry as a team. So you mentioned I'm on staff. She's not technically on staff, but for us, ministry is always together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we loved what we were doing at our Apple Valley location, which is broadcast. My role as the associate campus pastor, loved the community there, loved what we got to do. And when we were asked about our future, what are we processing, our trajectory, we said, we love Apple Valley, love our role, love the team, love the community.
Yeah.
And Pastor Rob, your dad, obviously stepped in and said, well, what would you think about starting a new campus, a new location?
Yeah.
And kind of how we've always processed serving the Lord in ministry is that the Lord, He leads us to people. And so we did pray about it, but it was an easy yes, because for us, the Lord has called us to serve under Pastor Rob and Becca. They asked us to step into it. They believe in us. So we're going to choose to believe in their belief in us to go and to start something new.
Yeah.
And it's been an exciting
the broader
journey.
vision of what are we doing as the hands and feet of Jesus, and to expand. And I think it's really important to just clarify, like sometimes like we might be able to get into this mindset of like having territory, or I don't know, I just don't like that. And we've already spoken with so many churches up in the area and have made like some friends already, like with other established churches in Maple Grove. And I just really feel in my spirit this sense of the broader sense of what the church, capital C church, looks like. And when Pastor Rob and Becca asked us to go up to Maple Grove, it was, like Kaleb said, an easy yes. We did spend time, probably a few days, praying about it just to confirm in our spirits, God, is this where you want us? And it was like right away, our spirits was like, yes, the confirmation of we need to go up there and do this. And through that, you've met some other leaders of churches who have already been established in Maple Grove, trying to build bonds there and say, okay, how can we accomplish this together? And it's been really cool.
It is amazing how the Lord works when you give Him a decisive yes. Yes, Lord, we're going to step into what you have for us. The way that He brings people, not realizing, like, man, our yes is attached to so many other people that have been praying for another life-giving church in this community to come alongside us. And the other churches that you mentioned are really supportive and encouraging.
So supportive.
But the people in the community have also been so supportive and encouraging, and have helped us on this journey of what it takes to establish a church, because it is a lot of work and it takes a lot of hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on the note of unity in churches, I actually think that what happened to George Floyd and what happened in our city really codified a lot of didn't solve problems per se
Right.
in the church, but I think it brought people together in a way, recognizing
Yes.
we need to be united. And so I've actually
That's
seen
good.
in the church in this area, I've seen a
Yeah.
renewed unity just for people saying we need Jesus here.
Yes.
This city does, and so
Right.
it's
Yeah.
to launch it after that.
Yeah.
You launched it here in
Right.
2022 around Easter, but it seems like that almost helped the unity. Again, there was other things that were hurt by that, of
Right.
course, and damage
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
still being healed. But it's cool to see that unity for sure. When you guys go back, so you obviously you say yes, and then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna do this. And we've talked about launching in that location for many years now. So it wasn't
Right.
necessarily a surprise to people that we were going there,
Yeah.
but I do think it was almost like okay, like wow, we're doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Goodness.
And talk a little bit about that even the first few weeks for when you make that decision for, we found the person, you guys are it. What are the conversations there? I mean, obviously there's so many things. It's building a team, venue, when are we going to start, all those things. But what did you guys do? I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds like such a simple question,
Yeah.
but it's kind of what people are wondering.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
No, it's it would be a miss for us to jump into anything other than the importance and the power of prayer. So for
100%.
us, the whole process has really been every decision, every relationship, every opportunity has to just be soaked in prayer.
Yeah.
And so for us, we prayed that the Lord would obviously, give us wisdom, discernment on decisions.
It's all, we got if you heard that, we got a water bottle dropped. We're unedited. It's all good.
No
It's
worries.
all good. No stress.
It was the prayer gong. We're supposed to pray.
Time to pray.
Oh my word.
So no, we prayed, but one of the things that we prayed was for people. So
Yeah.
the
Yes.
right people.
Yes.
So people that we want to reach and invest into and reach for Jesus, obviously, but also people that would feel the call of God, that before we even ask somebody to come with us,
Right.
that the Lord's already prompting people to join the team and help support and help build this thing. So that's where we began, and to just pray and process like who is the Lord drawing to us,
Yeah.
and how can we really steward them. And what's been really cool is I know for people in the Twin Cities, they understand, but for people broader audience, this location is a ways away. It's still in the Twin Cities metro, but it's a ways away. And so praying for people that would feel called to this community. And from the very beginning, in part because of proximity, but we believe also because of how we prayed, there are volunteers on the team that are with us through and through, that feel a calling to reach this city, to reach this part of the metro area, that have been with. So for us, it's like, how do we steward these people? How do we challenge these people?
Yeah.
How do we encourage these people? How do we position people? And for Autumn too, like her voice in shaping the church has been huge in that way.
Yeah, I would say like our first, like just to echo what Kaleb said, the first initial thing, okay, we've committed to this. What's our next step? So it's spending time with the Lord. But our biggest prayer in that was, Lord, please bring the right staff members, the right team members to come alongside of us, so that we just really believe in like the unity within a team too, of like, especially in ministry, like and you're working something like from the ground up. And so when you're planting something, we just wanted to make sure there's camaraderie, that there's like same vision, like what you're saying too, of like the right fit for who we can bring alongside of us as staff. And honestly, that it's God, like the way that He has brought the right fits for already. I mean, we're only 3 months into this official launch, almost a year into like the process of this, but really the right fits of like our staff members. I mean, we're so super small team right now, obviously, but everybody just seems to like not only just get along, but has that same heart, same vision, same spirit-led ideas that we had planted in our hearts that we believe are from the Lord, and also fall in line with River Valley Church and Pastor Rob and Becca's vision for the church. So yeah, it's all that time spent with the Lord, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kaleb, talk about the team. I'd love to get into timeline a little bit too, but from the team's perspective, you know, Autumn, you mentioned staff, and for I would say most churches that are planning to launch a campus probably are in a position to hire a couple staff, maybe not full time, but a couple staff to launch a campus. Maybe if you're launching a church, it doesn't look the same, but for launching a location, from the research that I've done across, you know, it's anecdotal, but just across campuses, I do feel like we run pretty lean on our teams that we launch. But talk about what the launch team look like from a staffing perspective. Now, there's tons of volunteers and leaders that go with you that sometimes carry more weight than our staff does initially. But talk about how we develop the team and kind of what we have and part-time, full-time, things like that.
Yeah, that's great. I'll jump into a little bit of the timeline too, because how we hire, and this is maybe a little bit more procedural, but we announced the campus in September of last year, 2021, and so started spreading the word, and that obviously begins to allow people to process like, okay, we're starting a new campus. What does that mean? Oh, you know, there's going to be opportunity to help launch this thing beyond staff, potentially, or, you know, a lot of moving parts. And so in that, we're praying, like, who is the Lord going to prompt or nudge to potentially come with us or potentially be a part of this thing? So it really began in January of starting the process of adding staff. So in January 2022, knowing that we're going to launch in April of 2022, now we have 3 or 4 months to have an on-ramp and have interest meetings, and what roles are we going to need to add to help us even have interest meetings and get this thing organized. So for us, that's like what we call a campus coordinator, but somebody who's administratively gifted to start organizing, sending communication, getting things on the calendar, getting communication out, somebody to do worship. So somebody who can lead and create atmospheres where we experience the manifest presence of God. It's an important role. And somebody doing kids, somebody who's going to help not just do childcare, but somebody who's going to minister to children, do leadership development for the next generation. So those are kind of the 3 roles. And then one of the things at River Valley that we process is like, how do we do youth ministry? And knowing that we've got 3 FTs, so 3 full-time equivalents. So these roles are part-time roles for people. What are the roles that I can help offset? So for me, knowing, probably not going to hire youth right away because I can help offset that in some of my gifting, some of my experience. And so I'm going to kind of carry that role in the initial stages as we're building this campus and prioritize hiring the stuff that we can't offset.
You
or
can't be
backfill.
in the main room and be in the kids' room at the same time.
Exactly.
And nobody wants me leading worship. So that one's off the table as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of pastors that do. But we're grateful for Emily. And So break that down again for us. So all 3 of those roles are part-time, and then you're full-time, obviously, and that's your paid team, right?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is, how do we hire these positions, and can certain people fill multiple roles? So for us, Emily Haven, she is our campus worship leader and our campus coordinator because she's administratively gifted, and so she's on full-time. And then Molly Rushmeyer, she's our Go Kids director, and she's part-time. And for us, prioritizing somebody who's going to mobilize the people. And so for us, we call that a connections director or connections pastor. And so Britt Carson, we've added her along this journey as we got closer to launch, adding her to the team to help mobilize, serve teams. And the most important thing for us in launching a campus, organizing small groups and how we do small groups, how we train small group leaders, how we position them. So Britt Carson is our connections director, and that's a part-time role. So Emily and myself are full-time. Emily's wearing multiple hats. And then
production.
And then, Josiah, he runs production on the weekends, and that's super part-time. So he...
Is it a contracted role?
Contracted role just on Sundays. And we do one... it's like a 20-minute call during the week where we're talking through the service order, making sure everybody knows the moving parts. And then he's there on the weekend to to lead the production team, production, video, lighting, all that.
Yeah, and you have 2 services.
2 services.
Yep.
Yeah. So you launch with 2 services.
We launched with 2. Yeah. We
talk about the decision. Part of it's venue, but I think a lot of churches they want to feel the big launch, but that doesn't create room. And so talk about that decision to launch with 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that decision to start with 2 services. One being 2 services allows there to be an overlap of lobby time. So people rubbing shoulders and coming in and out the door, that's a piece of energy. Like that's something that can be missed if you just have one big service, everyone's together, you start and you end. But having an overlap in between services allows people to come and go, rub shoulders, and feel like, oh man, something's happening here. This is exciting. And part of it is venue as well. We looked and looked and looked for a long time and eventually found an opportunity in a whirly ball venue, it's an event center.
Yeah. So what is whirly ball?
Yeah. It's like go-karts.
Question we all ask.
Bumper cars mixed with like lacrosse.
Yeah. Like
mixed with like
we
field
had just
hockey.
played, well, you played before, but it was so funny. We played with our team and Pastor Rob and Becca were there. We shot just kind of a funny video because that's the question. What is whirly ball?
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun actually.
I'm going to have Josh link the whirly ball video that we made into maybe the email that we send out about the podcast, and then maybe we can put it on the website as well or social media. But I want people to see that because it is a fun video.
Yeah.
But I think we joked about it, but we've started a campus in a bar, in a school, and event center, and now in a whirly ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Very obscure event center style, but they have a lobby and they have a restaurant bar area. So they got space to flip the room and turn it into a church auditorium and attached to the arenas where the whirly ball game takes place is like they have like rooms, classroom style that we can do kids ministry in.
That's
so
awesome.
It's quite the transformation. It's like 2 hours to flip it in the morning. And then tear down takes about an hour after the second service. Tear it all down, get it all put away. So.
Yeah, most campuses launch in a portable venue, and I think some churches, I'd say the very few can commit to going in and building a brand new building. But it's not, most churches just can't do that. Even very large, very wealthy churches, starting in a temporary venue. Part of it is to see, is this a community where our church can thrive in? I think for us, we made that decision before we launched. And we just said, we know this is a community we feel God wants us to be in. Autumn, can you talk about the difference between pastoring people who've been a part of River Valley for years, who joined this location, versus people who are brand new? Because I think I've been a part of multiple campus launches, and I noticed that there's a difference in, like, you kind of have a melting pot. You have people that, how long have you come to this church? I've come here for 10 years. Well, it's only been open for 12 weeks. Like, how does that make any sense? And so the multi-site, difference of, there's people who have history, deacons, members that have been there for years, and then there's people that walk in and they think it's a brand new church that just started, because it kind of is.
It kind of is, totally. I would say, as far as Maple Grove campus and the launch of it, there was a lot of core leaders who have come from other campuses, but actually live in Maple Grove or North Metro, who have been praying for years that, we could get a spirit-filled church or just an additional church up there, River Valley, with the brand that we've established, if you want to call it that, to launch it. But then we have seen from the get-go, people I talked to, I saw it on a billboard, or I thought we'd come check it out because it's whirly ball. It's kind of weird. It's different. But there are people who are ready for, again, just to echo what I said earlier, like more spirit-filled churches in their communities. And that was our prayer going into launching this. We just want to facilitate what the Lord wants to do. But when it comes to people and leaders and volunteers, in Maple Grove campus, like, we have seen an array, like what you're saying. I know in past when we've launched campuses as River Valley, we've heard like a lot of other campuses will send people from their campuses and say, hey, can you commit to a year to get this off the ground? And then they'll go back potentially to like their campus that they've been attending for years prior. For us, though, we have seen a lot of people, because of where they reside, a lot of people live in Maple Grove, and it is exploding. Side note, I think, is this accurate that it's like the fastest growing community in Minnesota is what we've heard?
No, it's up there. Yeah.
And so it's really exploding, and the area surrounding it too, just even north metro. We don't have a campus up there yet. River Valley doesn't have a campus. So we are the first north, I would say, metro. We have a lot kind of east and west of Minneapolis and south. So there's just been a lot of people who have been praying for River Valley to launch a campus up there, who are ready to say, hey, I want to get on board with planting this. But then Kaleb, I don't know, you could probably speak more to that. We have a handful of people who maybe has a cousin or a friend who have attended River Valley, who they live up in Maple Grove or the surrounding area, and say, hey, you should get involved. And they just came to the interest meetings. We started with, that's probably another topic, but our interest meetings prior to launch, we met a lot of people who had never been to River Valley.
When did those start? Because I think, most churches launches do interest meetings, but like when did those start in 2022?
Yep.
How many did you do? Sorry.
No,
it's an important thing.
It's good to know.
We got our first interest meeting in January. So we announced in September, had our first interest meeting in January, and kind of our timeline was, let's have an interest meeting each month leading up to the campus launch. So January, February, March. And in addition to those interest meetings, we had a worship night. So just a night where we had a little bit more space just to worship the Lord together as we got closer to launch.
So 4 total meetings.
Kind of like gatherings. Yeah.
And what did those consist of?
Yeah.
I mean, I think people like the practical. People are like, I love that you talk about it sounds sad with pastors, but they're like, I get that you prayed, but give me the service order.
Tangible, yes, exactly. The steps.
We try to create a theme or a focal point for each of the meetings. So interest meeting 1 was, can we launch small groups? Can we launch small groups at our first interest meeting? So from September to January, it was filtering everybody who is expressing interest in this campus. On the back end,
you need a preface. In September, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
You sent out the initial, when it was announced to the church, there was communication that was sent out.
That people could respond to, text in if you're interested.
How many people responded
on
to
an
that?
email list?
Yeah,
right?
on an email list.
Yeah.
So we had over 300 people on that email list. And it's a varying degree of interest. It's like, if you're interested at
keep me
all.
updated.
Right, exactly.
Some people
I
are
live
all
in
in.
Canada. Yeah.
Some people have still never been and never responded. And it's all good. Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
But that was like our job to filter out, okay, where are these people actually at, and who would be willing to help lead a small group, so that by the time we do interest meeting number 1, we're launching, we launched a handful of groups, so 6 or 7 groups. And before we launched the campus in April, we had 15 small groups by the time we launched the campus. So January was small groups. February was serve teams. So then from January, February, of the small groups, people getting invested, who can be leaders to lead teams and recruit people to be on their teams. So that February, we're asking people, hey, would you consider signing up?
Yeah.
And then January, February, and then March is more like strategic about the venue. Okay, we're going to do 2 services. And we had the visuals of the building, the layout. Here's where the greeters are going to, so it's much more tactical by the time we got to March. Here's all the equipment that we're going to have. Here's the moving pieces. So much more detailed in nature of conversation. And then we had a worship night, which was the spiritual rally point prior to launching. And then when we launched, the week prior, we had like what we called Team Sunday. Some people call it a soft launch. We just did internal communications, like a rehearsal Sunday, where we walked through everything, set up, tear down, did a full run through of core team, and then the following week was launch.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks after that was Easter. So it was like a lot of build up to launching the campus.
A lot of church plants and campus launches, they start off with this huge influx and this growth of people, that people are excited.
Yeah.
People from other campuses come and they attend. You kind of had that unique thing where you have that the first 2 weeks of kind of the awe and amazement, and then Easter.
Yes.
But as we know, and as I'm sure everyone prepared you guys. It's all right. It's going to start here, and then it's going to slowly every week go down.
Yes.
And you're like, nobody loves us. They hate this campus is going to fail. It's all the lies that get in your head. But can you talk about that kind of where you started? I think everyone tries to get a scope in their mind, and I kind of hate that at church conferences the question that people always ask: how big is your church? How big is your church? Well, what do you mean? Because I could tell you my weekend attendance right now. During COVID, it was like, what's your pre-COVID attendance?
Right.
And then it's like, well, okay, it's been 2 years. Can't say that anymore. And then it's like, okay, what's your weekend attendance? Well, and then some people share like, well, this was our Easter attendance. Well, and then other people share, this is the amount of people that come to our church in a 4-week span.
Totally.
But maybe to be helpful, can you talk a little bit about some of the numbers that we started with on, and I would, to clarify the number, weekly attendance, including kids, that was there kind of the first few weeks and then Easter, and then what it kind of settled at in that May portion. Summer can be hard, but kind of what that number is that you said, this is our baseline of what we're going to build upon as we go back into fall in a couple months here.
And part of it is historically we've seen whatever the launch number is, the church will kind of settle at like 50% of whatever the launch number is, because you got people that are curious and checking it out in other campuses. So when we launched with 2 services and had just shy of 600. So it was 596 on launch Sunday. And what worked out really well is that Pastor Rob wasn't able to be there on launch Sunday because of his travel schedule, but we knew he was going to be there for week 2. So we launched, and on launch Sunday, hey, come back next week. Pastor Rob's going to be here. He would love to meet you, shake your hand, say hi. And that kind of carried momentum into week 2. And so we had another strong week in week 2 where we were around the 500 number. And then Easter spiked back up again, just shy of, that 600 launch number.
And that's pretty close to capacity in that building.
Yeah,
right?
It was beyond capacity. So it was creative overflow. But exciting nonetheless. Back-to-back services that are 3 weeks in a row, just packed. And
how many adults does it seat in the way it's set up?
That's the question. So we typically will set up 250 chairs. So in that
not all
ballpark.
Of them are good seats is what you're saying.
So when I say 600, it's like, oh man, that's we are having some overflow seating. The first couple of weeks we had people that were literally standing because we were out of chairs and out of seats, and they're standing in the back. So
and we would not do that if we knew that was going to be consistent. But
Correct.
knowing that the launch number is going to be inflated, we'd maybe feel comfortable. But like if that's how things were today, right now, which that's our goal this fall, and maybe to find a new venue even. Sorry, interrupting you. Where have things kind of settled out now?
So now that we're in the summer, the number has continued to kind of tapered off.
Minnesota summers for those listening.
Lake country.
Especially in Maple Grove because they're not too far from the lakes.
Right.
Oh yeah. So a lot of people that head off to the lake on the weekend. So we're pushing back against that a little bit. But the whole month of May, post that first three weeks of launch, and we settled around 400 was kind of the number that we saw consistently on the weekend, give or take, slightly above, slightly below. But 400 was kind of the number, and now we've kind of tapered off into summer. But through that, we've continued to see people come through Welcome Home. So our Welcome Home metrics have been strong each month.
Yeah, and Welcome Home, for those, I think we've maybe talked about it before, but it's our welcome class. We do it, and it's getting people connected. And I'm pretty sure on this, but that Maple Grove has the highest percentage of Welcome Home attendees, which should, I would think,
as a new campus.
But it does. And then also the highest percentage of small groups per attendee, which is really cool to see. And so I was talking to Connor, my brother, about that the other day. And so being the new campus, not only to say we have the momentum, but we're getting people through our class. They're actually doing what we want them to do. And then also seeing giving be strong. That's exciting. When you look at kind of, it was strategic to launch in Easter, and now you kind of have a new fall launch as well. That's going to be your first fall, which in Minnesota we say fall launch. It's typically about October now, but kids getting back in school, you just see people getting back into the rhythm of church. What kind of things are you talking about now because you kind of get this secondary launch in September again? Are there things you're working on to get kind of those people back or grow more?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right.
The venue conversation is a real one.
Yeah, it's a
so
big one.
knowing that we launched well and September, October becomes like a secondary launch.
Yeah.
Knowing what we hit when we were launched originally and knowing where we can get to numbers wise, we got to find a way to create space. So that the guest feels like there's room for me here.
Yeah.
I can get plugged in.
Or so they can invite others too.
Yeah.
That,
But from jump, we've put a premium and a priority on small groups.
Mm-hmm.
So we are discipling people. We are making disciples. So we don't want you to just be connected.
Right.
We want you to be discipled. And here's what that looks like.
Yeah.
So now we've seen numbers increase. So number of small groups. We're just shy of about 25 small groups. And so that continues to build in that pool of people. And so we're talking to those small group leaders now, casting vision. Mm-hmm. Here's what we're doing for small groups for the fall. When we see an influx of people, we want to be ready to help steward the influx of people well, get them plugged into the community. Because we don't have a venue during the week. We don't have the default like, hey, midweek, we're going to do this event or this group at the church. We're just renting on Sundays. Right. So the in-home small group discipleship play has to be solid. And so putting a premium on that and casting vision for them now so that our leaders can pray people into their group in the fall and launch with strength and stability there. So that's kind of what we're focusing on leading into the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's exciting. Kind of landing the plane here. We could talk about this for
I know.
a long time. There's so much more, and I'm sure there's little snippets where people say, "Oh, dive in deeper on that," or "Go deeper on that." And I don't want to speak on behalf of you guys, but if you email the network, we can get you connected with you guys, and obviously sharing some of those insights for people who are launching a campus soon, or even launching a church. Although there's some differences, what would be your if you could sum up your experience over the last, from September, from announcement to now being in July, coming into August and beyond is when we're recording this. What would you say? Like maybe a couple things that are advice for people, or I mean, if they're listening to this, they're curious about what could a campus launch look like. Just anything that comes to mind that you'd want to share that you wouldn't want to miss out on.
Yeah. Something that I'd love to share is the challenge that we felt prior to being asked to step out. There was just different things going on in our lives and our world where we were challenged. Like, when's the last time we really took a step of faith and really trusted God? Like, we really responded like, man, if God doesn't show up like this, and if we're not living that way, it's just so easy to get insulated. So the Lord had been stirring those types of thoughts and prayers like, oh man, it's been a while since we've really had to take a big step of faith and trust God and believe God. And so for us, that's what this journey has been, a reminder of how good and how faithful the Lord is. And how much fun life is when you're taking steps going, and we're going to start a new church. I have no idea who's going to come. I have no idea what it's going to look like. I have no idea what the building, it's like a total, in every way, it is a total reliance and dependence on the Lord to bring it to clarity. And so that's what the process has been, a reminder that every step of the way, the Lord's faithful, that everything we're building, we're not building, it's the Lord's. Like we're partnering with the Holy Spirit to build God's church. And so that step of faith and just continually reminding ourselves that what we're doing, we're stewarding the Lord's. Like it's the Lord's church, it's the bride of Christ.
Yes, it's good.
And the huge step of faith has been impactful.
Yeah. And I would say like finding joy in that process. When your spirit is settled in the fact of like, God, I know that you're calling us to do this.
Oh yeah.
There's so much peace in that. But then like what Kaleb is saying, there's just so much excitement and anticipation in stepping out in faith and being like, okay, Lord, I don't maybe feel like I'm the most qualified or we're the most qualified, but we believe that you will help us along the way. And that's what faith is, to dumb it down. It's like, God, there are hurting people who the ultimate goal of us launching a campus and broadening the church is so we can reach people and we can invite them into the kingdom of God. They can give their lives to Christ and walk this journey with hope. I mean, that's the gospel. We want to live that. But finding joy in that. Sometimes when your occupation, as Kaleb's occupation, is being a pastor, you can you can forget that there's joy and that fulfillment comes not just in what you do, but and why you do it, but who God is and what he's called you to do. And so if somebody is listening to this or watching, or to remember, like, God will set you up for success, and he is faithful along the process. You might hit turbulence, you might hit some walls, like we have along the process, and we could dive deeper into those subjects. But at the same time, we have seen his provision and his faithfulness time and time again, not just within this process, but like we can look back too and see it. But just to remind yourself, like Kaleb said too, of like having fun, finding joy, and trusting the Lord. And my job right now, or my role as a spouse, and we choose to do this together and see ministry, even though I'm not employed by the church, but we do it together as a family and inviting our kids along in the process. And we have 3 girls, and they love to go to church. And I mean, there's a lot of factors as to why, but to not, forget about those moments.
Yeah, it's not a burden.
Yeah, no.
It's not head hanging low. This is a lot of work. It
It's
is
fun.
a joy.
Yeah, it is. There are hard moments, just like anything in life.
Of course.
But to find joy in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so good. And I mean, if you're listening and you can't be encouraged by what Autumn just said, I don't know. It's like, I think people are like, man, I need Autumn to I need to have like a button in my mirror, just have like a pep talk and just, you can do it. It's going to be great.
You got it.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much. And like I said, if people have questions for you guys, you can just email network@rivervalley.org and we'll get the questions your way. And also we'll make sure, go back into the email or wherever you found this podcast to find the Whirly Ball Maple Grove launch video. It's a fun video, but just to kind of put that perspective of what we're talking about in the campus. And maybe by the time they're listening to this, we'll start to have a new venue. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
So we're praying for it.
But we're praying for that too. And love where we're at now, but believing for more people that are going to find Jesus in Maple Grove. And thank you guys for committing a season of your life to doing that.
Yes,
so,
of course. Thanks for having us, Logan.
Yeah, thank you, Logan.